Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor here. Today we're going to give you another bolo item. We're going to talk specifically about music boxes and how to make money selling music boxes in general. We're going to hop over there right now and we're going to show you exactly what we're talking about. So music boxes in general have been around for a very long time. 150 years or better. They go way back. The earliest versions of these took what similarly looks like a record, and the players that actually play them remind me of a record player. There's some that actually look like a cylinder record player as well. I've picked a few of the more well-known ones. This is a Regina double comb. Double comb means there's two actually playing devices that go basically at the same time. These discs are very flexible. You can find them on their own, and they will sell on their own depending on what the actual music is on them. The condition of the disc, how waved or bowed the disc is as well, because these will bend after a while and they could actually get little ripples where they won't play correctly once they've been abused or not handled properly. This is a real nice example. When it spins around, it will pluck the actual little divots in the disc, and that's what plays the music. You wind it up on some of these just like you would a hand-cranked record player also. These go in the $2,000 plus range for the most part. Has 30 discs with it. Again, there are some discs that will sell on their own for a few $100s if you find the right one. Some are scarce, just like records. None go for into the thousands, discs themselves, or at least none that I have seen. Here's another assortment. This is a serpentine polyphone. There's many different makes. This is made by Calliope, and they made other things like circus equipment and monkey grind boxes and things like that. I've seen similar names on. Same basic thing. You have the discs, 30 discs in this one also, and then the player itself. These have been in families many times for a long time. They've been taken care of. They're inside. This one's a German one also. Basically $1,000 almost on this one. Another one here. This is a 12-inch disc, and that's mostly what they are. There are some 10 and 12 inches. The bigger the disc, the better the actual unit. This was a buy it now, almost $2,800, 21 discs, inlaid box, rather nice one earlier. Most of them also had that glass you see on the front up there. The glass protected it from getting sawdust or dust and things actually into it, because that would clog up the holes and it wouldn't play quite the same when that happened. So these are good items to find, but you're not going to find these high-priced ones very often. I've only had a couple in my entire life. Only a few lots of discs ever. They just don't show up, and if they do, they want a ton of money for them. And it's just not worth the risk in my book to take a shot at something for $1,000 that may not return my investment. So I'm going to show you what I stick to in just a few moments here. This is a Rug, I believe it's pronounced, which is a Swiss manufacturing, and they made the movement in these. They made them for a lot of other companies like Anri, which is a major manufacturer of wooden stylized Italian-made music boxes, but they still all had the same Rug movement in them. And we'll show you some in just a few moments here. Just familiarize yourself with the looks on this one here, because this one shows up. Sometimes people aren't even aware, or the mechanism inside has been removed and it's just literally the bird cage. They can be repaired very easily. A music box is something that you could swap out the insides just by buying one online. So sometimes they're repairable, but always I can sell a music box for parts. The movement is what's important in all of these. The design, the box, whatever it's in isn't usually the key. Now some of them it's a little different, like this one here, but either way, $1,800 this one went for. I believe it was a bin, so I don't think it went for quite $1,800. Maybe around $1,200 or so. These can run all the way down to $400 and $500, and even less than that depending on the condition, the year they came out, and many other factors on these. Now the next one's a singing bird automation, and automation means that the bird pops up and moves. The bird probably has real feathers that were tailored to these. They were handmade in many cases. This one went for just over $2,000, and this one's a German one made by Carl Geisbaum. He's one of the leaders in this type of thing, the lower end ones. There's some versions of these that go back to the 18th century, even back as far as the 17th century, that go for $100,000 or better. So I look for stuff like this. I never have found anything like this in my life. So again, we're getting to the better ones here that you can find in just a few moments. If you don't know what these are, you're not going to look for them. Those cylinders you see there, sometimes the design, the eagle is worn off, and you may find just the cylinder and not know what it is. I've had somebody describe those as a cheese grater before, in a bag with no markings or anything on them. They were just random lots of those cuffs, I guess they would call them here, but in a record line it would be a cylinder record. Now those cuffs I found more than I've ever found the discs for the ones we've just shown, only because people didn't know what they were and thought that it had to be something food related, believe it or not. The Eagle, again, there was nothing like that on it. It was just silver colored. This one, $2,827. The units themselves are fairly scarce, and I've only run into the cuffs again a couple of times, but the discs, as I said, are almost impossible to find in my area. So here's another interesting one just to show you. They made them in all kinds of shapes and sizes. Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Fred Zimbalist. Pretty unique example, and they have a video down below. I'm not going to take the time to pull out somebody's video or anything, but if you're interested, you can look this one up also. It's the real deal. It's got the paperwork, the whole works. So anyway, $2,247. I find the insides. Sankyo are one of the main ones here from Japan. They made a ton of them, and I do mean a ton. I run into these loose in boxes. I found them at Savers. I've even shown a massive haul of this sort of thing maybe about 4 or 5 months ago. I bought hundreds of the mechanisms. These are the movements. And the movements I always snag up, even if they're individual, because most people think, oh, this is just part, and they'll sell them for almost nothing. This one here went for over $420. The more of these blades, the little metal pieces you see there, the more notes it has. This is a 72 note one. Now we're going to show you a few of the other note ones. The more notes it has, the better it is. So no matter what it is, the more notes it has, the better it is, because it can play a more wide range and variety of notes. That's a 72 note. Here's a 50 note, $350 on this one. Most people look at these and don't think much of it. This is Orpheus. This is a specific version of these. These are the higher end ones. Sankyo, again, it's a Japanese company, but they're really nice, $350. What people do with these is they'll make their own boxes out of them and sell them at fairs, festivals, art shows, things along that line. Even art galleries, I've seen people that do some incredible homemade versions of music boxes. Just incredible, incredible items. And this is the pieces. And as I said, most people don't think about these. Most people will pass these up almost every time thinking it's a broken piece. They're issued like this. You buy them like this for good, expensive money. These sell on Amazon as well, and most definitely these all sell on Etsy. Every one of these could sell on Etsy just as easily, or even on Amazon. I don't tie anything anymore to one specific site anymore. eBay is not the only source to sell at all, and I do take advantage of other places. eBay is still the crowning jewel of our business, but we branch out everywhere. Now the next one here is a 36 note. Now you can see the little metal blades are smaller. There's less of them. It's a smaller unit in general. This is another one of the Rugs. This is a Swiss one, though, so they're worth a little more if they're from Switzerland, these specific ones. They're small. They're rather small units. So if you see these, take a real good look at them. These are made of brass. They're quality. They will last a lifetime if they're taken care of. Once in a box and sealed in an environment that's not going to get moist or anything, there's going to be nothing wrong with these for a long, long time. $270. Now this one's new. I don't care if they're used or new. I buy these all the time. This is the #1 thing in the music box section that I'm able to find because, again, most people think it's just a broken part and they won't want to mess with it. And here's another one. This is Orpheus again, Sankyo. This one's in a little box and the whole works. And as I've said, the reason I can find these, most people don't mess with the individual pieces. They think it's been taken apart from something or not worth much money. That's the ins and outs of this, is to mess with these type of materials here. Here's another one, a Rug. This is another Swiss one. Same basic example of the other one. They have 4. Chances are they will sell these. I'm never in a rush. They all are similar to watches and to clocks as well. They all have some similarities. Takes a key also. It has some movement in there. Next one here is a good example of what you do with these. This is a completed version. This is a Swiss. This is a Rug music box. And there's the actual unit. The movement itself is right there. People make their own boxes for these. So, and you can buy the paperwork that says what this song is on this that you can attach to the bottom of it, just like this one here. So if you find the individual pieces, those are really something that I sell quickly for the most part. I sell the movements far quicker than I sell a completed music box for the most part, just because people will create their own or replace them in a damaged music box. No big deal on that. I don't care how it's sold. It's always a good profit. A quick turnaround on music box movements. Rug made other items as well. Here's a keychain, watch, in a music box. They have less notes in most of these because of the space it takes to put them in there. These are fairly scarce. They show up in big bulk lots. Sometimes people don't know what they are. People don't think they're worth this much money. $270 for this one. I would imagine that most people would miss this as being that high priced off the board. Music box is the key to it. It has a built-in music box to it. Another example, this is in a watch case. This one's a gold-plated version. Rug again. And you can see it has less notes than the other ones, 17 notes because of the space. But it still plays. It's in a watch case. $175 on this one. Another music box here, a Rug St. Croix. It's a necklace. Less actual notes also, obviously, because of the space that's required to put the notes in there. So another good item, $202. And just like I talk about the movements from brass clocks, where I can sell the movement, usually the movements in these old brass ones, especially the animated, the automation ones, go for insane amounts of money because people will put them together or they will use them for other devices. $250 for this. This is two of them. Not in great condition. Don't work or do work. It doesn't matter. The parts themselves are almost impossible to get. That's why I take stuff apart. If it's damaged or broken, I can still sell the pieces to them. And the last ones here are Italian-made Anri. Now, Anri makes the box. The figure is the Anri part. The movement is the Rug part, the actual device, the movement that makes the noise. There are two different companies that teamed up to do this. Just like you being able to buy the unit themselves, you could buy a figure and then put one together. You can change these out. They're all interchangeable. As long as it's the same size movement, you can put it in any one of these. And you can change the sticker out and make it say whatever you want. Many times when you buy a vintage movement and it's in the box, it'll have a sheet, a sticker, that you would place on your music box. So it just looks like an old original one for the most part if you do it right. It's nothing wrong with switching out the music in them. I see people do it all the time. Sometimes you could take these back into a clock shop, as a matter of fact, and they would fix these for you. This one's $75. Nothing spectacular. There's a whole line of these angels. One plays a flute, I think. Maybe one's playing a harp. Maybe there's 4 different ones of these, if I'm not mistaken. I know I've seen 3, but I would imagine there's probably a 4th one, too. Some of these can go for good money. I've showed you some of these in a haul. Again, I've had 40 or 50 of these in the past year. I've showed you when some of them sold. I've sold some of these for $120 to say $175 myself. So these Anri are always good. Again, it's a Swiss Rug movement in the inside of it with the Anri outside. Now, some of these figures are made out of plastic, made to look like wood, or resin cast and things like that, and then painted with impressions of wood on it, so it's hard to tell. So the real solid wood ones are the ones that you really want the most, and they go for a ton of money. But these other kind are still very sellable. They're cute, they're adorable, they're reminiscent of the Black Forest type of collectibles. But anyway, that's what I have for you today. Well, there you are. There's another item. Hopefully that gave you some ideas on it. Hopefully that gave you some thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.